Committee on Rules and Judiciary will rise out of recess. Could you call up Bill 290441?
Yes, Bill number 29-0441, a resolution to honor and commend Dr. Yosef Ben Kahina.
Thank you. The bill is primarily sponsored by me. I would yield, since I'll have opportunity to speak on the floor, and ask the indulgence of my colleagues to pay some reverence to Dr. Yosef Ben Kahina, who I've had the fortunate opportunity to at least serve as a host, I believe, under the Student Coalition for Better Government, when St. Joseph High School still had a gymnasium. And we've had him at the Little Theater at the University of the Barton Islands. Mr. Gerard Emanuel, Mr. Sergeant at Arms, could you allow Mr. Emanuel and who's the other one person coming here? Dr. Chenzira to come in. I was given 5 minutes. Why does it graduate to 5 minutes? Oh. Two, three. Come in, Judge Andrews. You sure? You could come. You put it on the record, because I know that the resolution is quite detailed, and I want to thank the individuals who are before us for assisting me in making sure that is detailed. And I think that it's important that Mary Ann, John Q. Public, and this Barton Islands community have some knowledge of the individual that this resolution is intended to provide an honor and commendation to. Madam Clerk, you have your clock? You ready? Mr. Emanuel, you want to start with 2? Or should we provide Dr. Chen to go first? Not a kind of party, good. Mr. Emanuel, you got 2 minutes. Hold on, microphones, control room, I know you're just as tired as the Sanders, but you'll be home soon. Mr. Emanuel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I could not leave this august body tonight without staying here to say a few words on behalf of Dr. Ben Kahina. I had a class at the University of the Virgin Islands, and I had to cancel it, because that man has done more for us in the Caribbean and Africans all over the world than many other people. And I think it's fitting that you have stuck with it and decided to honor him. And I'm going to be brief, because everyone has something to say. But his research, along with Dr. John Henry Clark and all those other guys, is what has formulated my self-concept here today as a person. And I think it is fitting that he be honored, because many persons in the Virgin Islands may not know about him. He's known better outside the Virgin Islands, in Africa, in Papua New Guinea, in South Africa, in South America, in Puerto Rico, and in New York, than he is in the Virgin Islands. So I want to thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, and I had to be here, even if it was just one word I said. And thank you for the committee members for indulging us.
Give your name and you may proceed.
Dr. Chenzira Davis Kahina. I'm really honored to be able to come before this august body to be able to just share the influence that Dr. Yosef Ben Kahina has had on virtually anyone of African, indigenous, ancestral ascent. The reason that this becomes very personal is even before coming out of her home to share these few words, we had an opportunity to speak with his daughter, Ruth Johannes, who is in New York, that was kind enough to let us know that Dr. Ben, although he was in the hospital for a few days, he's coming out in the morning, and 95 strong, 94 plus strong, yeah, 95 now, correct, and really willing to be here, hopefully, once this resolution is in fact passed. The influence is very great, and I wanted to just share a passage that comes directly from the recommendations to the Virgin Islands Department of Education's Cultural Education Standards that were a formulation from various scholars here in the Virgin Islands specifically, and a number of people had an influence on this work. At 94 plus years, still amongst us is one of the world's most distinguished African scholars, scientist, Egyptologist, and the author of many books on African history, culture, religion, and civilization, raised and educated in St. Croix, Virgin Islands, the Honorable Dr. Reverend Yosef Ben Yakana. And I have to share that specifically because of his influence that he's had not only on scholars, on grassroots persons, those that are Pan-Africanists, those that are just involved in development in regard to the economy, politics, spirituality, religion, all culture, heritage, preservation, and more importantly, the arts and sciences that govern the universe. So it's very timely for him to be able to be honored by the 29th Legislature of the Virgin Islands.
Thank you, Dr. Chenzira. Just give your name and then you can proceed.
Thank you, Senator Richards and other distinguished senators, fellow testifiers, the listening audience, all those out there. It's an honor and privilege to be here. My name is Nequatewa Heru, formerly known as Carl Christopher. Dr. Yosef Ben Yakana. Before I even mention Dr. Yosef Ben Yakana, I want to mention some others. Edward Wilmot Blyden, Honorable Reverend Edward Wilmot Blyden, Honorable Hubert Harrison, and then Dr. Yosef Ben Yakana. Three giants that came from the soil here in these Virgin Islands that changed the consciousness of African humanity throughout the world. These islands have produced some of the greatest minds among African consciousness in what we today call the Pan-African movement that is waking up Africans all over the world. And Dr. Yosef Ben Yakana has played a major role in that, carrying people, touring them all throughout Africa, Papua New Guinea, South America, all over this world, and is well known. And in that honor and respect, it is a privilege for us to be here to see that this august body recognize him while he is alive, to let him know that we appreciate his people, the land where he was born, and the community where he come from, because this is where his mind was shaped and molded to be what he was with his father and others who shaped and molded his mind here. So it is an opportunity and privilege for us to be here to testify on his behalf, because he's one of the persons that helped to shape and mold who I am. And I want to say thank you. And may this resolution pass, and may all our senators put the pen to paper and recognize and honor those who deserve because of the great work they've done for humanity.
Thank you.
Time.
You're recognized. Just put your name in the record and your statement.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I am Alfonso Andrews, and I am here also to testify in support of the resolution.
Bring the mic in a little closer. We'll put some volume on Judge Andrews' mic. Please proceed.
I am also here to speak in support of the resolution to honor Dr. Yosef Ben Yakana. I have been at various lectures where Dr. Ben has spoken here in St. Croix. In Maryland, I recall when I was in law school in the mid-80s, and subsequent to that here. And if one was to sum up his works, his contributions, it would be that he had studied and wrote about and now have in text published the greatness of the ancestors. If one wishes to understand the contributions of our ancestors, reading the text written by Dr. Ben will serve them well. I say that because throughout my adulthood, I have from time to time gone and spoken with the youths in classrooms. I've asked the question, where are you from? And some will say, I'm from St. Croix, or I'm from Antigua, or I'm from St. Kitts. I says, I know that. Where are your parents from? Well, they're from St. Croix. I said, okay, well, where did your ancestors come from? Or what were they? And sadly, many of them would say, well, my ancestors were slaves. And that is as far back as their knowledge of self goes. And And what Dr. Ben has done is to do the research and publish information so that we can now study and learn the greatest of the ancestors, if I can have permission to conclude, way before many other races even existed on this planet. And so, as the ancestors would say, I would urge everyone to read his text and thus be able to fit the motto espoused by the ancestors: man and woman, know thyself. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge Andrews. And before I ask for a motion, I would be missed if I won't add a little 1 or 2 minutes. And one of my most fondest moments of while he was here in St. Croix was when one of our former colleagues came into the little theater. She served as president of this body, and was looking at him as he preached. Don't hold your head, Gerard. As he preached and he spoke, she was looking at him with disdain. And he said, "Yes, this is me. You remember that little barefoot boy from Luvali? You might have known me as Alfredo Antonio Johannes. But yes, this is me, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen." And I remember it like yesterday, because I'm not going to call the Farmer Center's name at this particular point because it's of no substance or bearing. But I think that the most important touching thing that I've gotten since the resolution was drafted, and I would ask each senator on the spare time just to read it, came into the little theater. She served as president of this body, and was looking at him as he preached. Don't hold your head, Gerard. As he preached and he spoke, she was looking at him with disdain. And he said, "Yes, this is me. You remember that little barefoot boy from Luvali? You might have known me as Alfredo Antonio Johannes. But yes, this is me, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen." And I remember it like yesterday, because I'm not going to call the Farmer Center's name at this particular point because it's of no substance or bearing. But I think that the most important touching thing that I've gotten since the resolution was drafted, and I would ask each senator on the spare time just to read it, just to read the resolution to see what he accomplished and what he's done to us. But one of your good attorney friends and legal counsel, Senator White in St. Thomas, she must have read it, and the first thing she said when she saw me is a place to get his books? I could buy a book. Is the book still available? And I mean, I can't, I just done with, he was an Egyptologist, Santa Sanis, plumb level square, 360 degrees. And, yeah, I know you understand. But that's who he was. He was far beyond freezing point. I think water freezes at what 32. Masons, so they only get up to 33, so they didn't have tired out yet. And he was a full circle, 360 degrees, plumb level square. But I'll stop there and entertain a motion if somebody could help me. I'm sorry, Senator Dow. I'm not rushing.
I know, well, some things just...
No,
sorry.
If senators would like to talk, first y'all tell me just let them talk because I'm ready to go home. However many they got 2 or 3, you take your 3 too.
Good. The only thing I want to thank each and every one of you, and one of the things that I'd like to say, I continue to talk about education. What each and every one of you doing tonight is putting forth a different avenue, pathway towards what I consider education. Because what I've done, I even took the legislation that I passed that created the Virgin Islands Supreme Court. I took that and I made sure that at least the high schools, I literally hand-delivered it to the school. And this resolution that Senator Richards is sponsoring, and because learning comes in so many different ways. And for me, and just listening and looking at some of the, I just briefly looked at some of the information, is no reason that this document, this resolution, does not be a fixture in every school that we have. These are things that we must, you know, they're telling them to read every year. They give them a summer assignment, read about this. No problem with that, because reading is good. But just like I did with it, and that's all I can do, everybody could do their little part. I'm not going to just get the resolution, vote for the resolution, and leave it there. So what I'm saying is I'm prepared to, my wife teaches at Charlton Valley High School. I have people in my office that work at Kent. I am prepared to make sure that this resolution get into the school system in as much as I can. I believe that all of us and every one of us, these things they're going to outlive us. And the principles and the teaching, to me, when young people in particular see themselves, and Charles had this calypso, and he says that if some of them even understand from where they came, they will never want to shed human blood. So I'm going to, just my own thing is that my little piece, this one here, would to make sure that this resolution is not something we vote on, 15 people vote, church out. It's deeper than that. And some of these resolutions, this body had taken action on so many resolutions, and the troubling thing for me, if I sponsor one, is because I'm serious about what's in it, the contents, and to make sure that that get passed on to generations. So my only thing, Judge Andrews, and to each and every one of you, Mr. Emanuel, and Mr. You gotta tell me your own name. But anyhow, and Doctor, I'm going to make sure that this resolution get in the hands, Charlton Valley High School and whatever schools I could make sure it get in. And that's what the people, when we say education, this is all a part, because when these children could deviate sometimes from some of the things, making teaching interesting, making learning interesting.
Time.
And that's what I promised to do with this resolution from my eyes tonight. So I really want to thank each and every one of you for your contributions. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Dawson. The White.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Chair, it has been said you're not too old to learn, and I was simply mesmerized. And when these four testifiers spoke, as a matter of fact, in a short 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I was held spellbound, because I am not myself at this age at all knowledgeable to the individual of which you speak. But the lessons, the short lessons that each of you have given, I must make it a point to dig in more and to find out exactly who this outstanding individuals and the contribution which he has made. Senator Richard spoke of someone asking about the books and where can I get them. Well, I am one that is also asking that, because it is so important. When I believe you spoke about La Valley and the family name that I recognize as Johannes, where my aunties and uncles and so reside out there, the Acoys in La Valley. It's almost sad that I don't know, but sometimes we just don't. And I will make it a point. As a matter of fact, on the 19th, when we go into session as a body, you will think that Celestina White grew up with this honorary, because I'm going to, that's my homework. And I want to thank each of you, the testifier, and it's so important because the time that you have spent, even if it was like Mr. Emanuel said, for 1 minute, you felt it so important, and really it is. So I thank each of you, and I will certainly, as homework, be ready for the 19th. This great man that you have put out there to our Virgin Islands community. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator White. Senator Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, it is somewhat, I feel somewhat a little bit embarrassed because this is the first time I've heard this name. And I started reading it real quick, and then I saw the name Pedro Campos, and it caught my eyes. And I said, wait a minute, let me go back. And then I saw the 360, and I have a little history when it comes to that number. Not as high as that level, but and I am truly embarrassed because I mean, in these 5 pages there's so much history, and I was wondering if we were to go out there to Central or Complex and ask 10 students and ask them if they know about this name, I wonder what would be the reply. I can probably put a bet that 10 out of 10 will say no, which is sad, which is really sad. So, you know, the resolution is great. I will vote on this over and over and over again, but this is not enough. And what Senator Dow said, I have to emphasize, we need to take this further. We really need to take this further, and it's just amazing what one man can accomplish and what one man can influence the world and actually change the world. So I am glad that I stayed. I had a choice anyway, but I am glad that I stay here, and I will definitely be taking this home and see what we can do about spreading the knowledge. But it really caught my eyes, and I am glad. I'm glad I read this, and I'm going to reread it again. So I want to thank each one of you for being here so late. You, sir, I'm still waiting, but I had a good talk with your counterpart, and she explained to me the wait. I'm not going to explain it to the public, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm waiting anxiously. So once again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Senator White. Senator Sanders, I'm sorry. At this point, we are going to entertain a motion, and I would promise and assure the individuals that came forward to testify this evening that I am sure that by the time we get to the full session on the 19th, there will be something that will definitely involve the participation of all our members, irrespective of your ethnic, racial background. You ought to know who Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakinen is, and what he's contributed not only to the people of this side of the hemisphere, but on all of the hemisphere in the world, and we appreciate you all coming out. Is someone will make a motion to move the resolution? Motion, Senator Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I move that Bill number 29-0441, a resolution to honor and commend Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakinen, be voted upon favorably in this committee and be forwarded to the full session for further consideration. I so move.
It's been moved by Senator Sanders, seconded by Senator Dow. We have a roll call on the bill.
Senator Carlton Itel Dow. Senator Dow, yeah. Senator Alisa Chucky Hansen, absent. Senator Ronald E. Russell, absent. Senator Samuel Sanes. Senator Sanes, yeah. Senator Patrick Simmons Sprout, absent. Senator Celestino A. White Sr., yeah. Senator Uciar Richards, Senator Richard Ye. Mr. Chair, 4 yeas, 3 absent.
Thank you. The resolution, Bill number 29-00441, a resolution to honor and commend Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakinen, has been reported out by this Rules and Judiciary Committee to be considered by the full body for the session of November 19th and 20th. Again, thank the testifiers. I want to thank the staff who's been with us for the entire day, the stenographers, our Sergeant at Arms that can't wait to open that chain so y'all could come out and he could go home, public affairs, the staff of my office, and everyone else who have come out and been here for the entire day. I believe the committee will stand in recess until Thursday, October 31st on the island of St. Thomas. Committee stand in recess.